So many jokes, so many sneers. It's VGC the Video Game Podcast, episode 180, with me, Jordan Midler, Chris Scullion, and Andy Robinson. This week, New York is hot, but first, how's it going, folks? Chris Scullion, how are you?
I'm good. If you think New York is hot, I don't recommend staying in a caravan in Berwick-upon-Tweed.
Oh my God!
During the heat wave, because
that's like living in a burrito.
It was outrageous. It was one of the worst, because we were like, we've got fans in the house. Well, we bring a fan. Nah,
got no fans.
Didn't bring a fan. Got no fans, and then that's it. It was like sleeping inside a radiator.
I don't know. I don't know if I can go back to not sleeping with a fan. The one that I bought recently.
VGC Live.
The one that I bought recently it's not quite a Dyson. Like, it's not one of those big daddies, but it's very, very good, and it cools the whole house so efficiently that sometimes when I'm staying at Laura's or whatever, and she's got one as well, but it's not crazy. I'm like, a bit warm here, even though I'm like freezing. I'm actually shivering. It's so cold, but I need to keep cool. It's the keeping cool technology is very important these days. Andy, for once, I actually have a bit of sympathy with the south of the UK, because England seems to be getting it so much worse than we are. How are you coping?
It's a little bit cooler this week. I don't know if it is where you are. It's gone down to
it's a bit 20s. Cloudy. Yeah, but gone down to 20s,
mid 20s. We've been in like 30 plus for ages. Anyone listening to this from outside of Europe is going to be like scoffing big time, right? But we are not equipped for this. Houses are built out of bricks.
Yeah.
We have insulated attics, as you would call them.
Yeah.
There is no respite.
No air conditioning.
I was in New York during the heat wave, and yes, it was very, very warm, right? But at any moment, I could walk into a 7-Eleven and and it was like I had a cooling vest put on me. It was stunning. The hotel, perfectly air conditioned. It was only when you were transitioning from the hotel to outside, it felt like you were walking into a shower. It was just like a wall of heat hitting you. And that was minging. And obviously the general pishy smell of New York from all the pish, that kind of ekes into the heat, and it's
the filth.
Yeah, the filth.
It kind of, New York smells how you'd imagine a Miyazaki video game would smell. Like just grimness.
It was actually nice because obviously I spent a couple hours in Central Park one of the mornings and just wandering around. I was like, this is amazing. This is like a wee oasis in the middle of all of this. And then you cross one street back onto Fifth Avenue and it just hits you again. You're like, oh man, did
I suppose New York's
shite on this street?
I suppose New York's hot enough as it is, but the fact you go to Central Park with your big Flashers jacket on, must be quite heavy and all.
I mean, that's why I kept doing it, because I need to get some air in here. I need to waft. But
that's why I wear nothing underneath the office. It's so
honestly,
warm.
Going into Central Park made me want to put more clothes on, because a cavalcade of the most attractive people you've ever seen in your entire life running up and down the street with most of their kit off and like 8-packs and stuff like that. I'm like, Christ alive! How can you live in a place like this and achieve this level of fitness? Everyone that passed me, I was like, you a famous person? You a big shot? You a big deal? And it probably just works as a waiter or something like that. But if you'd like to see us not work as waiters, you can support VGC on patreon.com/videogameschronicle. You can get ad-free browsing, bonus podcasts, and so much more. This Monday, you can get CVG chatting vintage games on the Game Boy. And let me tell you, it's a classic. Not just the Game Boy, but this episode as well. You do not want to miss the absolute nonsense that kicks off in this Game Boy episode. But outside of that, we've got loads of other CVGs across the different retro categories. You've got your behind the scenes vlogs, some of the biggest studios in the world we've been to behind the scenes, and we've vlogged about it. More coming very, very soon. But yeah, we really appreciate the Patreon support in a world where more and more of these are opening up, and there has never been more genuinely good options for your money. The fact that so many of you have decided to trust us with it is it's concerning for the mental health of the nation, Andy Robinson, that so many of them have signed up to this absolute nonsense ship. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got a graph as well that shows a correlation between nonsense and funding.
Nonsense never been higher. It's really it's going to break through the ceiling of our chart. So thank you very, very much. And if you're curious about our Patreon offers, you can check out more on the Discord. We've got like our schedule up there, all that kind of stuff. There's never been a better time. It's been a little while, gentlemen, but there's been an advancement in energy drink technology, so I must
finally
go back to the lab to bring you Conino Lamborghini energy drink. This is energy drink with natural caffeine from the people who brought you the Lamborghini. There is no blurb here, unfortunately, but it is literally just
petrol.
The Lamborghini logo slapped on a random white can. Chris Scullion, we've been here before. I fully assume this is going to be a Red Bull derivative.
Let's get Red Bull all over it.
Yeah.
Toro Rosso.
My dream car is a Lamborghini, thanks to one Mr. Bam Margera. The snap was satisfactory, but it smells like a Red Bull. Let's see.
There we go. It's a big Red Bull.
It's Red Bull. How do they keep getting away with this? This is, first of all, I'd be so much more inclined to drink a Lamborghini Conino energy drink where it's some fanciful flavour. See if they came out and they were like,
Tastes like caviar.
Yeah, it tastes like pizza. It tastes like spaghetti carbonara. I'd be like, okay, this is interesting. I can get my teeth into this, especially if it was chunky. But just a Red Bull derivative in the year of our Lord 2026, disappointing in my opinion.
Speaking of supercars and exotic food, I will tell you the only time I ever tried foie gras was at an F1 event, I think, and it was horrendous. Really? It was absolutely horrendous.
For the folks at home, for the stupid people like me, what is foie gras?
Foie gras is a very controversial food where it's like, I can't remember exactly, it's some sort of duck thing, but the duck is treated horrendously as they make it. Not that all animals are treated horrendously.
You prick!
It's his confidence undermined just quickly before it's... So, but it's like goose's guts or something like that.
They stuff it with food until it's bloated and
it's horrendous. And it's like, I'm sure it's banned in a lot of places as well, but for some reason it was available at Silverstone on this day, and I tried. It's grim. Posh people must just eat it because it's controversial.
Chris,
nobody actually says that's their favourite food.
I consulted the fourth member of the VGC podcast, Alan Iverson. Foie gras, pronounced foie gras, is a French delicacy. No surprises there. Directly translating to fat liver, made from the liver of a duck or goose.
A street name.
Hey, yo, fat liver, get over here.
Shut up.
It is celebrated for its rich, buttery texture and flavour. It is commonly enjoyed pan-seared or served cold as a pâté or terrine. Traditional production involves gavage, never heard that word in my life, force-feeding grain to enlarge the bird's liver. Jesus, I've had nights out like that. That's horrific. Why were they serving this at a Formula 1 event?
Because it was F1. Because they were just showing off and being like lavish.
They wanted to impress Chris Scullion.
Yeah. Exactly, and they didn't, because it's like basically eating a big bucket of snotters. It was horrendous. The texture was the worst thing I've ever... It was just slimy and horrible, and like... It was like if somebody had left halloumi out in the sun for 28 hours and then just presented it to you. It was all melty and still a bit chewy. It was grotesque. I don't recommend that.
How the hell did they come up with this? This is what I don't understand.
It's just barbaric. It's just people just going, what's the most horrible thing we could do? Now eat it.
Aye, but people must have had so much time on their hands back in the day, man, to be like, right, this is what we're going to do for the next year. We're going to absolutely batter grain into this bird on the off chance that when we...
Yeah, that his liver tastes good.
Jesus. This is what happens before you have the television. This is the boredom of life that must have been in the dark ages.
I did put a call into Oran Moore and ask them not to supply foie gras at VGC Live, so hopefully they listened.
Speaking of VGC Live, final few tickets remaining. Get on that 16th of October. I cannot wait. Now, let's get into the news. Story number 1. Obsidian director criticises, quote, cold take artists spreading, quote, misinformation about the studio's legacy. Last week, it was reported that Obsidian is one of the studios affected by Xbox's major reset, which involves laying off thousands of workers across all of its departments and refocusing on its biggest franchises. According to a WARN notice in California, which that spelling out WARN is an incredible bit of American admin. It's Obsidian, which was acquired by Microsoft in 2018, is losing 52 workers, including 43 based in its California offices and 9 in-state remote workers. In a statement posted on LinkedIn over the weekend, Obsidian veteran Brandon Adler, who joined the studio 20 years ago and is currently game director on an as-yet unannounced title, paid respect to his colleagues losing their jobs. This is an extremely difficult week at Obsidian, Adler wrote. Not only have I had to say goodbye to some amazing game developers, but I've had to say goodbye to some of my best friends. I truly feel sorry for every one of them. Know that if you're going to hire one of these former Obsidian devs, you are hiring some of the best people around, both professionally and personally. Adler, who most recently was game director on The Outer Worlds 2 and gameplay design director on Avowed, then condemned those who don't work for the studio who have been saying Obsidian isn't what it once was. Quote, another difficult aspect is having to see a bunch of cold take artists coming out of the woodwork to talk about what Obsidian is or what it isn't. The number of times I've seen people with no understanding of who has worked on our previous games or what they contributed to talk about Obsidian isn't who they used to be is staggering. Most of the time they're not wrong, but they're not just wrong, but spreading an enormous amount of misinformation. In most circumstances, the people in the leader director roles are the same people who worked on The Outer Worlds, Pillars of Eternity, and New Vegas. Like, literally the same people. The through line from Knights of the Old Republic 2 to our current games is pretty clear. It goes on a little bit longer here. Andy, I wanted to ask, as someone who was on the dev side for a little while, when something like this happens, or just generally when a decision gets made that the players or the public might not get an insight into, is there a real sense of frustration, a kind of, you don't know what you're talking about, you literally don't do the job?
Perhaps. I think in this circumstance, I mean, first of all, I want to say Xbox have created the conditions for speculation. This has rolled and rolled and rolled, right? And I'm sure that there's, there are some things that aren't in their hands, that they've got to do due diligence, and they got to, let the studios, tell everyone in the right way at the right time and stuff like that. But, very clearly you look at how they've been, Asha Sharma and her team have been handling their first 100 or so days. She's very much treating it like a startup and making quick decisions and making them fast, right? I mean, I've heard in the background that, there were studios lined up to be shut that then were pulled at the last minute and changed at the last minute. They've created the conditions for speculation. They've created the conditions for, LinkedIn news and a million different reports from dozens of different publications every week about this. But coming back to this, I'm not really sure what he's angry about here. Perhaps, I guess, maybe some people are suggesting that, like, more important people have left than have, or what? I don't know what he's saying.
I think the idea is that he's saying that in response to some of the Obsidian layoffs, part of the audience, genuinely or disingenuinely, were like, well, maybe if you stopped making games like Avowed and The Outer Worlds and got back to what you guys were good at, like a new Fallout, then this wouldn't have happened. The people who made Fallout New Vegas are long gone. Obsidian isn't what it used to be, kind of thing.
Well, I mean, Avowed pivoted big time through development. So, yeah, I think there's probably some merit in people who weren't happy with that type of game, right? Although they probably would have been even less happy with what they initially planned. But sticking up for players for a moment, I mean, the biggest issue here, and this is one of the first things I wrote when I launched VGC, when I came back from 5 years in development. I wrote a big feature about how broken crediting is in video games, right? It's the complete Wild West. I don't see how any developer can expect consumers to have a basic grasp of who worked on what game when there's no regulations whatsoever. I mean, look, maybe Obsidian are one of the good ones. I don't know. I'm not going to, again, to prove my point, do the homework required to sit down, hope Moby Games is accurate, go through their credits and cross-reference everyone. But a lot of studios, in majority of studios, if you leave midway through production before it ships, they'll just remove you from the credits, and there's nothing to stop you doing that. So I don't think you can be angry at consumers totally for not knowing who worked on what game. That was one of my biggest frustrations when I came in. There were people who worked on Sea of Thieves on our team who left, and you could literally see their work in the game and they weren't in the credits and stuff like that. And it's like nothing you can do. You're literally down to whether your boss likes you and how you get credit and what credited and where you get credited. It's a complete, Wild West, like I said. So I'm not sure whether I can completely get on board with him being annoyed by that. But I don't know. Of course, it's frustrating for them to see this and that, but probably they should just shut up. Like, I mean, I know they've been through. They're the victims in this situation, but the people left are working for Microsoft, And I mean, I don't want to be being too harsh on this, but you're already seeing like a lot of very coordinated messaging coming out of some of these heavily affected studios about we have to turn this sentiment around, actually we're in good shape and we're good. And it just comes across as a little bad taste to be going on the positive offense when so many people have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, I could see to an extent what he's saying, but also the fact that I get that when people people who are in development must get really frustrated because there's situations where people say, oh, why can't they just patch this? Why can't they do that? Why can't they do that? And their argument is always, you don't understand how complicated it is to do this. And if they're constantly being told this isn't the same Obsidian it used to be, look at Avowed, blah, 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 which I quite enjoyed for what it's worth. I can see the frustration in them saying, look, I've been here since Fallout. How can you tell me we're not the same team when the leads are been the same the entire time? But at the same time, I also don't think that just because the same leads have been there the entire time, that it means that therefore by default the quality has remained the same the entire way. And that's not a slight on them or their abilities, but Miyamoto did Wii Music. Do you know what I mean? Just because you've done some great things, it doesn't mean every single thing you make from that point on is a banger. As we all know, the development team isn't just the leads. You're getting so many workers are kind of punted after a project is finished and new workers are brought in, and there's been lots of debates about how much of the team do you keep to ensure that things that are learned from one game are carried over to the next. There's so much kind of behind the scenes stuff that, to Andy's point, we can't track because you've got to rely on people copying and pasting lists of credits into Moby games and hoping that they cross-reference the right people and connect people properly and everything. That's all we've got just now to go on. Moby games is the closest we've got to an IMDb, but it's still not.
And still relying on volunteers. You have no idea what these people worked on either. Because that extends to not just people being in the credits. You're down to the will of whoever's job it is to put those. I mean, you could give it to work experience kid. There's no if you work on a movie, right? Famously, what was the Star Wars one? That was it. Famously, George Lucas didn't want to. He got fined a huge amount of money for not putting credits on the start of Star Wars. Every movie starts, so you have to do that. It's mandated by the guild. You have to put them start. He's like, I don't want to do that. And he got fined massively. Terminator 2, decades later, famously had to insert someone as give them a credit because James Cameron in a interview admitted that he was it was partially he read a book or something. He's like, yeah, I was a little bit inspired by that. It was like, okay, you've just said that in public. So he had to put the guy in the credits, It's it's black and white. How people go in the credits, Star Wars, Rogue One. I think I can't remember the exact, because I'm gonna mess up the side of this, but the overall structure is correct. Because they changed directors, didn't they? To Gareth Edwards from the two guys who did ironically did the amazing sci-fi movie this year. What's it called? Hail Mary. Oh, yeah. I think the fact that they changed Gareth Edwards as well, didn't they? To Tony, the guy who did I'm so bad with names. The guy who did Andor. The fact that one of them is credited as director tells you exactly what percentage of the shots in the film is his, because there's literally a threshold for you to be able to get the director's credit, stuff like that, right? So anyway, I've gone off on a massive tangent like I do, first coffee of the day. So you're completely at the whim of okay, you're the director, and a lot of the company I worked with, they didn't care, job titles, they didn't care. It's like people always argue, I want this job. So, yeah, here you go, have it. Because they know it's meaningless, right? So you actually, on top of like being in the credits, you don't know who did what, really. You really don't. Like someone could have, it's Tony Gilroy, isn't it? Like it could have been someone who came in the last, 6 months and tidied it up, and he's credited as like director, right? And there could be another guy going, I worked on this game for 5 years. It's like things like that. So you really don't know unless you're in there.
It's also because obviously movies are far more linear than games, and so when you look at movie credits, you kind of get a rough idea of what. So somebody's down his lighting, you go, all right, well, he's the boy who put the lights up. Like that's pretty obvious.
What does the best boy do?
Listen, see, as far as the boys on the set, he's
number one.
They all like him the most.
It's like sorry to interrupt. It's like stuff like Imamura. When I went to dinner with him a couple of years ago, he's like Star Fox 64. He's like he basically directed that game. Even though he's credited as art director, he like ended up like working on almost everything. But you wouldn't know that. Sorry, go ahead.
But that is when you look at credits to a game now, it's like you can get the game director, whatever narrative writer and stuff like that. But then you'll get like programmers, and there's just like a list of 70 things, and you're like, but this is an enormous. The key example of that is the Ubisoft Barcelona strikes that went on recently over the team that they were one of the teams that worked on Assassin's Creed Black Flag. My mouth isn't working today. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Re-Synced. There's too many R's and L's in that title. So they went on strike because just after the game came out, it sold 2 million copies the first day, and then they said, which had already been announced. Now a bunch of us are facing the sack, so we're going to protest and all that. And it only emerged from that from those protests that they did all the underwater bits from that game. And up to that point, you can't like kind of break a game apart and say this team did this guy worked on that, unless they specifically come out and tell you. There wasn't anything in the credits that said underwater section, Ubisoft Barcelona, and then split it up into those components. So you could, when you finish a game, you see a list of 500, 600 names now, and
especially if it's a Ubisoft game, you see a list of most of the population of Earth.
Yeah, and you can't just break it down and say, all right, they did that, but I like that. But so, yeah.
It also gives grifters a chance to pretend they did more than they actually did. Have a watch of friend of the podcast, H. Warmer Guy's video about the oof sound in Roblox to see just how much that charlatan Tommy Tallarico has pretended that he was involved in the video game industry.
Well, there's famously 87 games currently in development, all of which are made by different people who made Disco Elysium.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the biggest running joke. It's like the new game from the people who made it. Wasn't Disco Elysium made by like 2 guys? No, it was made by Ubisoft-sized teams, so now everyone can make their own Disco Elysium-like. That's true. That's like a version of a saw trap.
I mean, Nintendo are particularly bad at this, and this is born from an era in the 80s where, especially like teams like Rare and Nintendo would be really, stringent with this. They didn't want anyone to poach their staff.
Yeah.
So if you go back to like those early Famicom games, they've all got aliases, right? They've all got like nicknames and stuff. They didn't want other companies to be able to poach their staff. Like, I know the stampers at Rare were like, they didn't want to have credits at all, really. And even when they did, it's very difficult to get credits for those like N64 games and stuff like that, because they'd have funny credits because they didn't want people to know who worked on what, deliberately.
I think you'll find, gentlemen, it goes all the way back to 1980.
Here we go.
Atari famously didn't let its creators credit themselves in their games. So a young man by the name of Warren Robinette created a hidden room in Adventure, which you got into, and it said created by Warren Robinette. The world's first Easter egg, I think you'll find, was a protest at not being allowed to credit themselves. So we better. There's your Chris Scullion knowledge for the day, kids. Take that.
Chris Scullion knowledge.
Thanks. the snore of a satisfied day, knowing that you've learned something.
Let me tell you about a game called Doki Doki Panic. Anyway, story number 2. Removing discs doesn't represent progress. UK retail group condemns PlayStation decision to stop making discs. Sturgeon must condemn. The UK Trade Organisation for Physical and Digital Entertainment Sales has criticised Sony's decision to stop making disc versions of PlayStation. Sony are stopped making disc of PlayStation games? When did this happen? Jesus. Sony announced earlier this month that it will stop producing physical discs for all PlayStation 5 games starting January 2028. I can't wait. And the only games released in 2027 or earlier will be able to reprint physical discs. Now, the Entertainment Retailers Association, or ERA, which defines its role as championing the retailers and digital services who connect music, video, and game creators with UK fans, has condemned the decision, as reported by not familiar, saying that it harms players and retailers. Quote, PlayStation's announcement that major games will no longer be available on disc is a triumph of corporate convenience over consumer choice, CEO Kim Bailey said in a statement. Quote, every year millions of gamers still choose to buy physical copies because they value true ownership. Citation needed. A disc can be shared with family, traded in, collected, preserved, and crucially, still played years from now. A download license often offers none of those freedoms. According to ERA, whose partners include Game, HMV, Asda, and Morrison's, consumer data shows that a quarter of those under 25 use discs, and the total disc-based games market is valued at over 300 million last year, quote, demonstrating that there remains a substantially committed audience for boxed games. Quote, retailers see this demand every day, Bailey added. Physical games continue to bring people into shops and give consumers real value through gifting, collecting, and resale. The industry should be embracing every legitimate way consumers want to buy games, not narrowing their choices. Chris, this is news to me that game shops still exist in the UK, so it's good to see that there's people looking
and
out for
indeed
them.
the ones that do sell games.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's hardly a wild suggestion that the people who partners with Game, HMV, Asda, and Morrison's are all going, wait a minute, this is a bit shit.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm glad you called them ERA, because I thought you were going to call them the ERA, and we were going to start getting some borderline IRA related jokes. So I'm glad you went down it's. I get. I'm staying away from the whole disc debate because I haven't bought a disc in a very long time. But I get it.
You're
I get
the problem.
People, well, but I just, my house doesn't have space
Problem.
for all this piss. But I get the argument. I get people who are really passionate about it. I would argue that some of the arguments about a disc can be played. You look at the Crew. Like it can't. We're in a world now where even having a game on disc doesn't guarantee you can play that game forever. If it's a game that needs servers and those servers get turned off, that's it. Like
Especially now there's so many
Concord's dead.
God rest it. So many games that have no business needing a server just need one anyway. Or games like First Light that the disc version contains like the first level. It's like, oh yeah, I'm glad I've got my First Light disc. I can preserve that bit. Where
I mean,
these
retailers. Sony's already said this. They've told partners this. These retailers are still going to get box games.
Yeah.
They're just going to be codes in a box. You know, they're still going to get collector's editions that don't include the game, which has been the case for a long time. They're still going to have their boxes to sell, but it's been a tiny part of their business for a long time now. I mean, you've got the CEO of GameStop this week saying that the decision doesn't matter at all. It's totally irrelevant, is the quote. So Bloomberg estimate that GameStop's collectibles business is now 41% of its revenue.
Yeah.
So both physical and digital games are just 18%.
Yeah.
You know, these guys have stopped selling bloody games in a box for a long time.
They are.
And of course, they're going to release this.
They're Pokemon card shops now. GameStop's like that's the.
I'm sure I read a stat this week that 99% of all box sales in the UK are from online retailers as well.
I mean, you only need to walk into a game now or a GameStop in the US. Or last time I was in Canada, an electronics boutique, EB Games, is still kicking the ball in Canada. And like it almost feels like the box games are in there because they have to be, and that they could probably do without them because it's Funko Pops, it's merch, it's T-shirts, it's figures, as
trading
far as
cards.
I can see. And the games are kind of almost the last EB Games I went into in a mall in Toronto. The physical games were right at the back of the shop where you would put the Scud videos in an HMV or the adult entertainment. It's like way at the back, as if this is the last thing that is selling. So that's the thing we put right at the back of the shop because this is the fewer people want this. We want merch at the front because that's what catches people's eye. They don't give a shit about the games. The games are right at the back of the. So there's an audience still for physical games, but it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
I have absolutely no sympathy for game because when the a couple of recent big examples, like Silent Hill 2, multiple pals pre-ordered that from Game. They went there on release date and the shop was like, oh, well, we never get sent it, so what are you going to do about it? Like, they took their foot off the gas so significantly, so any attempt from them now to pretend that they want to be like a game shop again, they can get it right round them. Like, I've got absolutely no interest in that. I want to make a very clear delineation between that and like independent game shops that are still kicking a ball and doing well, because it's a totally different thing. But the big retailers, like, go to the game section in Asda Linwood and it's an absolute disgrace. It's not been looked at in about 40 years. They clearly just volley those games onto the shelves because they're in absolutely no order.
As the Proclaimers would say, Linwood no more. But you go to any of the games in like Sports Direct, and like there's more Lego there than there is games. Like
and there's no one there. If you want to buy something, you need to get some spotty 17-year-old that's like refilling the sock section to come and to sell you their game. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'll work over here.
It's like when I used to work at Argos one Christmas period and would occasionally get put on the Elizabeth Duke jewellery counter. And as a man who, I'm going to shock you here, I don't know an awful lot about bling.
No,
even though I come across as a fashion expert, I don't actually know my jewellery that
and
much.
Your Sonic
told us
t-shirt.
Your street name.
Yeah, but my street that's not for fashion. That's for antics.
As for slinging gear. As for slanging that rock.
Better believe it. That rock has been slung. So it's when you're incorporating a game store into a Sports Direct or something, you're losing specialist staff. And like, to be fair, people take the piss out of game staff and all that, but they apply for game in the first place because they're enthusiastic about video games. They know a bit.
Also, loads of people we've worked with have come through, like, started their careers at Game.
I got a fucking knockback for
I was going to say, Game Station famously didn't give me a job because I didn't have enough knowledge.
Oh yeah,
because basically the entire interview they asked me if I played Warcraft and I said no, and then the two guys just spoke about Warcraft with each other for half an hour and they said see you later. And I was told
that famous retail game,
famous box
World
game.
of Warcraft.
So yeah, I basically didn't get. And then a month later, I got a Fish and Nintendo magazine, Warcraft free.
So weird. I did my interview for the game that used to be on Union Street. I wish it was that burned down instead of the vape shop. At least a vape shop contributes to a night out. I got my interview in there. I got a KB, and then like a couple of weeks later, started working for the BBC. Is that an indication of how poorly the license fee was used when hiring me? But who's still around? Me or that game on Union Street? Get it right round them. Hell mend them. There's a part of me that's like, I wish there's a simple life in me working in Game Centre in 2009 in the Paisley Centre. It's just when everyone was firing right in the middle of the 360 generation, the game shop was always jumping. There were so many new games every week, so many collector's editions. It's like Obi-Wan when he's like finished being a Jedi and just goes to being on Tatooine. That would be my life, but it's long gone now. And then I had to work in Morrison's where someone shat in the cleaning cupboard. Anyway, story number 3 before the break. Glen Schofield's retiring. He took to LinkedIn to announce that he's calling it a day on the day-to-day stuff. Glen Schofield, you may know most famously from Dead Space, worked on 3 Call of Duty games, and most recently did the Callisto Protocol. Andy, you spoke to him fairly recently. It feels like he was trying to get something on the go, and when that didn't happen, he just decided that's probably enough for now.
I spoke to him at Gamescom Asia in Thailand in October. He was one of the keynote speakers, or the keynote speaker, I believe. He was on stage. So we all got to speak to him. I mean, very clearly he was in transition. He was pitching games, I think. His daughter's a game developer as well. I think they were pitching a lot of stuff. It's a bleak landscape, right? If you're trying to get, probably like, mid-sized money like he is. He's not pitching a Call of Duty, and he's probably not pitching a tiny indie game. So it's probably difficult. He's a stupidly talented artist. Super talented. He's like, his business card I've got somewhere is like really cool. I think he's I mean, it's not for me to say. I think he's going through some sort of health problems. he told us that he was on like some pretty hardcore painkillers at the time. I mean, I won't speculate. It's down to him, but like even like to the point where the press at the event, you know, I think it's only a handful of us. It was like me, PC Gamer, game developer, and IGM, and even to the point where we met and discussed like, is it, you know, should we, like if he's like under, like he's on heavy painkillers, like should we, because he's a very outspoken guy, right? Anyway, so but if he's also forewarning you, like, by the way, you know, I'm on some pretty gnarly painkillers, then it ethically we were talking, you know, discussing like what should we do, and then we basically decided like, look, if he's the keynote speaker and he's on stage, you know, well, it's not like he said anything like massively libelous, but he was, if you go back and read the interview, he's very outspoken on Call of Duty games not being up to standard, you know, since at Sledgehammer, since his team left, and you know, kind of things like that. So I don't know what the full story is there. It's for him to say. I imagine it's probably a combination of things. But, you know, I wish him all the best. He's made some of my favorite games ever, Glenn. I really, you know, have enjoyed speaking to him in the past, and I hope he has a happy retirement.
Good stuff. Advanced Warfare is a banger.
I do feel for Schofield. Like, his career was like he was on top, and then just circumstances happened, and these things happen. And also Glen Schofield as well.
Saw it from a mile away. Saw it from space. Saw it from Jupiter.
Well, Americans won't get that at all, but don't look into it.
We probably have about 10 American listeners because they're too busy.
9 now.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's 2 more than that. Anyway, let's go for a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about Pokemon Go, my adventures in New York, and a Donkey Kong Lego set. Wow! Oh!
A Scooby-Doo Lego set.
We'll see you in a minute. And we are back. Last week I was in the city of New York from Wednesday to Friday.
Walking here.
I was walking here. I was eating a slice of za. I was doing all the New York activities, including the most famous New York activity, battling Mewtwo. Now, they took over Times Square, Pokemon Go did, to recreate the game's original trailer, where Mewtwo was up on every screen on Times Square, and all the trainers and the crowd got to battle him. It was an amazing experience, but the thing that really made me laugh was, number one, on the live stream of it, they had all the Pokemon Go stuff, and the way the camera was set, it was like a big Pokemon Go marquee, and the only brand you could see was the Disney store. We were showing that to the Pokemon people, and they were like, I'm going to go and rip that sign down. So it's ruining absolutely every shot because it just says Disney. And the other thing is, the only screen in Times Square they couldn't get was the Coca-Cola one, because I think legally that can't be changed. That's been going for like however long that banner's been up. So it was absolutely crazy. It was also crazy to play Pokemon Go in New York 10 years after it came out, and how much that game has changed. Like, when Pokemon Go came out in the summer of 2016, I don't know about YouTube, I got it the dodgy way, because it came out in Australia first, and then the US, and the UK got it like 2 weeks later. But this was back in the day when it was very easy to get like onto the Australian or US App Store, and downloading it and opening it up, it was like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool. I could not have predicted the absolute mania that would have followed in the next couple of weeks.
I think nostalgia was right, just at the right point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then, you know, like at the age of everyone, it's kind of mad to me that I think Nintendo are just about to miss it. They should have done something with Wii. You know, like Wii's 20 years old this year.
A Wii Classic.
It just got this year, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they should have struck with that.
It's like it kicked off instantly. It wasn't one of these things that built over time. Like, I was in Canada when it came out, when it came out in Canada, which may have got it before the UK. I'm not sure.
Yeah, North America. It launched in Australia and New Zealand, and then there's a big feature on the website with Ed Wu, who was like the original programmer of that game. It launched in Australia and New Zealand, and then people were sideloading it from Australia and New Zealand across the world. So half the traffic on launch day wasn't from Australia and New Zealand, and he had to go in and basically like he talks about it, how he highlighted like all of Europe and just turned it off because it's like this game's going to immediately break, and it did anyway. But then the next week it came out in North America, so that's been when.
Yeah, so I was in Canada when it came out, so I managed to download it there, and literally 2 days later, I was standing at a bus stop in Toronto, and I was discreetly trying to catch Pokemon like on the road. You know, everyone was using the AR stuff at first because that was the gimmick. Trying to catch Pokemon, and like. Some woman came over and said, "Oh, what ones have you got? I've got these ones." And it's like literally 2 days after it came out, and I was like, "This is the first time in years I've been like sharing gameplay, like tips with random strangers. Like this might be a thing." And it's just kind of you were expecting the fad to die at some point. It just never has. It's got this on. Obviously, it's not the big cultural. People aren't referencing it on the news or anything like Hillary Clinton did anymore. But it's still got that massive kind of fan base. I still know people on Facebook, just friends, the casuals, I believe the kids call them, who still play it and then still like share their Pokemon stuff.
That's the thing. It mirrors the original launch of Pokemon. Like it was this massive moment, and then it still kind of persists all this time later. Like I remember that first Pokemon Go summer where I would see people were posting. This was still when Facebook was a going concern. Everybody was posting it, like, because you heard someone talking about it, and the barrier to entry was nothing because it was free, and you download it, and you're like, oh, this is novel. I can like catch a Squirtle, and you look at your map, and you're like, oh, that's funny. There's a Pokestop here, and there's one on this wee shop. Maybe I go and walk over here. And you have very rose tinted glasses about that era, but that game was so broken when it first came out. Like they talk about it in the before the Times Square event, there was a presentation with Ed Wu and Michael Sternica, who are now the head honchos over at Scopely. And they made Pokemon Go in like 8 months or something like that. Like the speed at which it came out is crazy. They showed development screenshots of the game about 3 months before anyone played it, and it's unrecognizable. Like it was an insanely quick turnaround, which for Pokemon surprises me because Pokemon is a brand that is so like buttoned up and the brand image is everything. But Ishihara, the president of the Pokemon company, had played Ingress, which was Niantic, now Scopely Explorer's last game, and he thought, oh, this is interesting, maybe combine this with the Google Maps Pokemon joke that they did for April Fool's Day, and that's kind of how it came to be. Like, Andy, you must have been central London when it all kicked off. That was like one of the biggest hubs for it, because obviously everything's a landmark in London, so everything's a Pokestop.
I don't remember much about it, to be honest, other than just walking around streets. I haven't got like, I mean, for me, I used it for a bit and then I fell off it. It's, you know, I think this is 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So I think my kids were just being born. I was in the middle of shipping the first ukulele as well. It's super chaotic time for me to be getting into a video game that involves leaving the house.
It was like, I remember opening it up in the street where my mum and dad live, and like, man, there's no Pokestops here for ages. Like, I need to leave. And then you quickly saw, like, if you lived in a flat in the city centre of Glasgow and you had 5 Pokestops around you, you were flying up levels and you were catching Pokemon so easily. Like, they've done a lot more in recent years to make it so that quote unquote rural players can like have a better experience. But I'm right back into it. Like, I'm playing it every day. I'm like, when I take Leia out for a walk and during lunchtime, like walking around the park, spinning Pokestops, and I can do the one-handed excellent throw again, which I've not been able to do for like 10 years, which is great. But it's
a shame that it's not surprising in the slightest, but it's a shame that the Pikmin one didn't take off. By all accounts, it's big in Japan. There's still a big Japanese audience for the Pikmin one. But I always kind of wish it would kind of take it off, because I think that could have been a good way to get those characters more popular here, like get some of the Pokemon Go audience. But obviously, when you've got one, that's the one you stick with. You're not going to add the second one to your walk. Like everyone who plays Pokemon Go isn't going to shut that down and do their walk with Pikmin instead, which is a shame. So even
the Harry Potter one failed. Like if there's
good, let it burn.
Yeah. The lady doth protest too much, but if there's ever if you were thinking of brands that could support something like that, you'd be like, okay, like maybe Star Wars or Harry Potter or something massive. And the Harry Potter one, which was shite, by the way, like it doesn't make Pokemon is the perfect brand for it, because you're walking about catching Pokemon. Like, it is perhaps the most authentic Pokemon experience ever recreated in a video game, because you're adventuring and going to specific places to catch rare Pokemon. So doing that in Times Square was a really nice culmination of 10 years of that game, and playing that game in New York. Every 2 seconds, it's like random homeless people on the street. That's a Pokestop. There's an amazing Pokemon right here. Like, everything is so crazy. It's so popping off at all times.
The problem with the Harry Potter one was that the game crashed anytime you went near a toilet.
Yeah. I simply don't know. But Pokemon Go, super back into it. I'm doing my raids. I'm hatching eggs. I'm walking about, which is related to the hatching of eggs. And when I spoke to Michael Sternica, who came on just as they were doing their first in-person event, so they did this thing, Go Fest Chicago, which was like everyone comes to this park in Chicago. I'm walking here. I'm in Chicago. Hey, CM Punk. There's a lot of different. There would be gyms and raids and Pokestops, and it broke completely. Like, the cell service couldn't handle that many people in one place, and they streamed this whole thing. And you can go back and look at news articles about this, and the audience were chanting "Fix your game," and this was being beamed out to everyone. And he talked about this in his presentation. He was like, "I should have been sacked for that. Like, that was so bad. We made such an arse of that." So in reaction to that happened on the Friday. On the Saturday, they were like, okay, Go Fest is actually all of Chicago. You can go anywhere in the city and all these activities will be happening. And that kind of formed the basis of what these events are now. So it was a really interesting presentation. I could have sat and listened to them talk about it for ages. Ed Wu showed a picture of his daughter being the first child to ever throw a Pokeball in the game. And I talked to him about the Pokeball thing afterwards, and he was like, the Pokeball throw and the catch animation and that whole sequence, that's perfect. That's never going to change. That is that's the thing we've achieved most that we want to keep from the original game. But they seem like they want to shake it up. So more power to their elbows. If you want to read more about that, check out the website. Before we get to our final story of the week, it's time for my favorite segment.
That's barely understandable. Okay. Well, recently I attended the Glasgow Indie Games Fest in Glasgow, of all places, and it was very nice. It was a little. They'd taken over the art place in the Barras, and I've not been at the Barras for a long time. And we've spoken in the past about the Barras being where people would get their pirated games, so it's very fitting that nowadays they're dealing with indie stuff. I played Grease Trap 99, which is the game about working in a chip shop, which has a monster underneath, which has been covered with BBC a few times. There's a thing called Game Poems magazine, which people should look for online. It's available online just now, and it's like maybe 10 or so small indie games all joined together that can be played for free, designed like a magazine. So there's all that. That's quite cool. But the one thing I really liked, and you will hate this title, the game is got the most pretentious title ever. It's called Individualism in the Dead Internet Age, an anti-big tech asset flip shovelware manifesto, which I hate that title. But play it. It's free just now. It's on itch. Search it. It's an easy thing to search. It's really good. It's about how the internet is a shadow of what it used to be, and it covers loads of stuff that were popular back in the day. It's actually really cool, so approved. It's like Hendrix getting ready for a set. It's like that PlayStation advert with the last of the eyes.
That was 60 actual seconds with Scullion.
I need to get one of those. I could do an amazing Hendrix impression.
Didn't he kill himself?
No. Barbiturates.
You're saying Jimi Hendrix didn't kill himself? I agree.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he spent too much time on that island. Final story.
Too much Jake Balls.
Hello, my name's Jake Balls. Nintendo's next major Lego set is a $200 Donkey Kong arcade machine. We go now to Chris Scullion. Are you going to be shoving this up your Lego pipe?
You better believe it.
Yeah.
You better believe it, sir. It's annoying because every time Lego, I draw a line under Lego and say that's enough. And then they pull shit like this, a Donkey Kong machine. I'm like, that's my kryptonite. I'm frustrated at how much.
Do we think it does the crank thing like the Mario Telly does, and it can go?
Maybe.
Did it?
You haven't seen the other leaks this morning, then?
No, I
I don't
haven't.
know what else.
Someone found one in a Target retailer. You can you can put barrels in it and they'll roll down. Just make Mario jump.
Come on now.
That's vintage. That's vintage. Just like the real thing. They
Well,
brought out a
it's
pinball
out
machine
to-
recently, and they're saying it's just like the real thing. It isn't. It's precious Lego. But yeah, no, I've already got the Pac-Man arcade machine they did, so it kind of makes sense to get this one, have them side by side as God intended. But yeah, no, it's like it's there's stuff where I say I'll wait till it gets cheap. Stuff like the Horizon one, they did the big tall neck thing, I think it's called. From Horizon, which I've still never played, is on my backlog, but I bought the Lego one, obviously.
You're probably that went out of print and is now quite expensive.
That's the thing. If my laziness is going to pay off, because a lot of these things are unopened still, and will eventually earn a pretty penny if I can be bothered. But I'm not a scalper. But so if you put Mario or Donkey Kong on something and it's not aimed at children, like there's like 90 of those Lego Mario sets, and I've just ignored them all.
Have you bought the wee blind bags of the enemies? But because those are
I've done those. I got those because they're collectible. But stuff like I bought the Mario figure, but it doesn't.
You hear this, Andy? He's like, I don't buy any of this stuff aimed at kids, and he's bought absolutely all of it.
No, this one is sitting here gathering dust. The other 89 I didn't purchase because I was like, this is
Name 89 Mario characters. Go 1,
Mario,
2,
Luigi,
3,
Peach,
4,
Rosalina,
5,
Daisy,
6,
Yoshi,
7,
Wiggler, Dry Bones,
9,
Dry Bowser,
10,
Bowser,
11.
Bowser Jr., Lemmy
You're-
Cooper,
you're-
Iggy
you're
Cooper,
repeated-
Morton Cooper.
You repeated it. You repeated Bowser. I'm afraid you've lost
I
the
said
money.
Dry Bowser, I think you'll find.
You've lost the money. You're out
Bowser
the
and
game.
Dry Bowser are separate entities.
Andy, name 150 Pokemon from the beginning. Number 1.
Bulbasaur,
Correct.
Squirtle,
Correct.
Stephen.
Charmander,
Correct.
Pikachu,
Correct.
Charizard,
Correct.
Blastoise.
Correct. Incorrect. Sorry, it's Blastoise.
Evander, the real deal Holyfield, I think he was one of right,
Gabrielle Abanglahor.
Did she not lose her eye in an accident, Gabrielle? Sorry.
Who's the lassie that lost her? Daniela Westbrook. Anyway, I think this looks class, and I like that they're doing the kind of more adult stuff. However, the next wave of Pokemon stuff comes out soon, and have you seen this Pokeball they're doing, Chris? It's like this big.
I like that.
Folds it like
They've just copied the Mario question mark block.
Yeah,
Right? They should
folds
redo
out.
that. Which, by the way, is excellent.
It's fantastic. I finally only just finished that a week or two ago. I'm still angry that it's a Mario 64 scene inside it, and it's not the Mario 64 question block. That annoys me. But other than that, I'm happy with it. But yeah, it's annoying that those Lego the adult Pokemon sets. They know what they're doing, but the prices are obscene. It's like I wish I could afford the Pokeball's just borderline. But like I'm happy with my wee gift with purchase Poke Center that I've got.
That's cool.
That'll do me for now.
I have Pikachu somewhere over my shoulder here. I think I'm going to buy the Eevee because it keeps going on Amazon for like 20 quid off, and now it's only like 40 quid, and that's like a nice little. See, I'll get the Eevee, I'll get the Arcanine, I'll get Rayquaza, but the Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur will have to come to me in this. So I have the 800 quid Millennium Falcon. The only reason I have that is because for 1 week Xavier was selling it for 500 quid, and at that point I was like, well, I'm making money.
At that point it's a bargain.
It also coincided with me leaving the BBC, so I got a big amount of money for that. So I was like, buy a new camera, buy a telly, buy the Millennium Falcon. I'll get that at some point. I've seen it in person enough times. I'm like, man, this looks brand new. Like, but I just cannot justify it at the moment. Andy, you still on your Lego ban?
I've got nowhere to put it. I mean, I'm even thinking about this Donkey Kong one. Like, I love building Lego. It's very therapeutic, right? Then I've got nowhere to put it.
Put it on your arcade machine.
I think I think Lego's kind of become like the Funko Pop figure now. It's not cool. It's not cool to have a room of Funko Pops.
That's fine.
I don't think Lego
can go back
I don't
to
think
not
it's
being
as cool
cool
as it used to be to have a room full of Lego.
See, as someone who was into
It's
Lego,
very like Marvel guy now. Lego. That's what it's become.
I as someone who was buying Lego in the doldrums before they had any of these fancy sets, I was buying the absolute garbage. I'm more than happy for it to go back to being a pastime of absolute spods. But yeah, going into the Lego shop in New York and looking at all the sets, I'm like, man, so much of this would be, I wish I could pay half the price to build it and then give it back just to have the experience.
There's that subscription service you can get where you can.
I
would never use it for that reason and for other reasons where you pay a set fee, whatever it is, and they send you out the Lego and you build it, and then you go, oh, thanks very much, and then you send it back. So it's like outprint ones like the Simpsons house and all that. But for me, like, I like to keep it and display it as a sign of what I did. And also the fact is, when you send it back, you've got to take it apart again. Yeah. And anyone who's used those stupid wee orange tools that you'd use to pull the bricks out knows how much of a bollock it is to just remove one or two pieces. If you've got like a 2,000 piece house that you have to demolish brick by brick before you send it back, like that totally undoes all the therapeutic benefits of building the thing in the first place, so they can whistle.
Also, much like my stance against ever buying pre-ordered games, they definitely shove it up their arse before they send it back, and no one would know. So,
without
no interest in that whatsoever. I've got the Lego house and I've got the Quickie Mart, but they're very awkward. They're not in my office; they're in my mum and dad's house. They're very awkward to display because they're like squares, so it's hard to put them on a shelf or anything like that because it's just like this house. I wish they'd done more Simpsons Lego because that stuff was cool. There was always chat that the designers wanted to do Moe's Tavern, but you couldn't do a bar and Lego. It's like,
they recently did the Krusty Burger, didn't they?
Yeah,
so
and
like they're back. They're
coming.
Yeah. It's funny because you can get some very good MOCs, like the kind of like the church and the school, I believe. And
the school's an actual one to do.
Yeah, but it's weird. It feels like it is, but then you look at it and you go, stuff like the school is like inside doesn't look that exciting because it's a classroom. And it's like, but I don't know. That's the stuff I don't have room for. Is like, but they see these people that have like the modular streets, amazing. The full streets looks amazing. I'm like, so I don't. It's small things on the shelves I can do, but an entire street of buildings, like at the end of the Lego Movie, Will Ferrell's basement. Like, I'd love something like that, but there's nowhere near enough space for that or money.
Well, if you'd like to give us money to buy Lego, patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. It's been another wonderful week in the kingdom. I'll be gone the start of next week, but I will be back for the pod. Andy, this is your last pod for a while, according to the calendar.
I'm going to be gone for ages, I think. Should look at the calendar. Well, I think I'm going to be gone for the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, next 4. So enjoy.
Yeah. Next 4, and then we're back for a couple, and then we're heading off.
I don't know. What's the time? What's the time zone? You guys? Yeah, I'll be. I can jump on maybe.
Yeah.
Just
dispatches from VGC's second home in Nippon. You may have heard of it. It's my vacation to Japan is in. Let me see here.
A plane.
In a plane. 56 days. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to go on the floor at TGS and go, wait, steal the Astrobot costume and walk away.
What's the gap then between my 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks? Oh, 3. So yeah, I come back for 3 weeks, then go back again.
Yeah.
Just for anyone attending VGC Live, if you'd like to see a shell of a man who spent the last 2 months in one of the biggest release calendars in video game history, working on a site on his own for most of it. When I shake your hand at VGC Live, that hand will be shaking.
It'll be going, no, not the Game Pass update, not the Game Pass.
Guaranteed traffic. Really, not anymore.
No.
Oh, thank you very much for listening, folks. Remember, patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. Check out our YouTube channel. Check out VGC Live for tickets. Until next time, say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris.
And we'll see you next week.